98.1 KZE, good afternoon and welcome back. This is Will with you here. My guest this afternoon, Jonathan Pazer. Jonathan is an artist and the chairman of the Gardiner Open Studio Tour, which is this weekend, April 30th and May 1st, Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days. For pretty much everything that Jonathan and I are going to cover, you can go to ghostartists.org. That's GOST artists.org. Jonathan, welcome to the program.
How you doing, Will? Nice to meet you.
It's wonderful for you guys to take the time to come here, to travel all the way to Red Hook and hang out with us here in the studio talking about Gardiner Open Studio Tour. So I have to confess, this is the first year that I'm hearing about your Open Studio Tour, but you guys have been around for a few years now.
Yeah, we've been doing this since 2012, and I'm sorry we haven't gotten here before.
No, we appreciate you joining the KZE family. These Open Studio Tours, I find them to be very interesting. They've become pretty popular throughout the Hudson Valley and beyond. It does seem like a lot of work, I have to say, for someone like you, because you're dealing with all of these sort of independent contractors. You're dealing with artists who are creative people who are very busy themselves.
Yeah, and it's a great group of people on the tour. It's a very diverse group. And you know, I'm chasing them with emails, and they're in Costa Rica and Spain and England, and everybody's running every place. And
Sure.
It's fun.
It's something that the artists get really excited about, because this is an opportunity to sort of get out, or well, you're still in your workshop or in your studio, but to kind of be a part of the public and have the public come experience your work where you do your work.
Right, and I think that's part of why people like to go on studio tours, is they like to get into the studio and meet the artists where they live and often where they work, being the same place. And it's also interesting because you drive by that house, all the rest of the year and don't go in.
Yeah.
And you never know who's there and what they're doing and how exciting their life is.
Part of the conversation that I always have in these situations is I find it totally fascinating the way being in vicinity of the work, or seeing someone's workshop, or if it's a musician, seeing their studio and seeing them in the process, it sort of changes your appreciation for the final product, I find.
Well, I think that's true. And of course, everybody cleans up for the studio tour because you probably couldn't walk in.
Well, I hope not too much.
Well, no, not too much. But yeah, it is really it is an insight into how artists have arranged themselves to see where they work and what they do. And one of the things that happens on the tour is that some of the artists are able to do demonstrations at their studio. For instance, Andrea McFarland, and we are partners, and she lives in my house together. And
you guys sort of share a studio?
We share. Well, I have the living room, and she has the bedroom.
Yeah.
But she does a pastel and oil painting, and she gives pastel demonstrations, and it's rather remarkable to watch something, piece of chalk and a piece of sandpaper, which is what she works on, become a picture in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, wow, well, I see how that can happen. And when you see the finished product, you never know that she used her fingers and, all the other things that go into producing the work.
And a lot of her inspiration is primarily like the beautiful local landscape, right?
Well, right. Andrea's particularly interested in art from a hiker's perspective, and so she goes out into Mohonk and Minnewaska and Sam's Point and all of the local scenery that's really recognizable, and that's what inspires her to do her work.
Now, Jonathan, your work is something a bit different.
Yeah. Well, we both go to the same places and take pictures, but hers come out looking like landscapes, and you can't tell what mine are when they're done. So
I think if you we've looked at your work a little bit. If you spend enough time, you'll start to get some idea of. This is sort of abstract photography.
Right, abstract photography, and I often take pictures of things you don't recognize and make them more unrecognizable. But then they get more interesting because you want to know what they were, and
there's a borderline psychedelic element.
That's true
to
too.
the work.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
Can we spotlight a couple other artists that are a part of this event? And again, it's the Gardiner Open Studio Tour. It's this Saturday and Sunday, April 30th and May 1st, both days from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. ghostartists.org. And I want to mention, there's that I know of, there's nothing spooky about this event. It's just a website. It's GOST.
No H.
It's Gardiner Open Studio Tour. So ghostartist.org.
Our very first one was in the fall, and we thought it was a funny joke, but then it just stuck.
Yeah.
Another interesting artist on the tour is Lynn Isaacson. She is a ceramicist and a potter, and she has a very large and wonderful studio on New Prospect, I think it's New Prospect Road.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes her interesting, she does do demos on the tour, and she has 3 very special different kinds of kilns. And in pottery, the kiln is what makes the finish on the piece.
Okay.
And so one of the things that she now has is a salt kiln, and this produces very unusual, erratic kind of finishes on her work. And it's not conventional, it's not conventional firing. So if you go to her studio and look at her work, you'll see that she has functional pottery in all of these different sort of flavors, and that's produced by the different ways that she fires them. And she's a chemist of glazes, so her glazes are really interesting.
Let's spotlight one more artist. You want to talk about Donna, who's here waiting outside the studio, and her work?
Yeah, DM Weil and I were the progenitors of the tour. She has a gallery in Gardiner, and people kept walking into her gallery saying, "Oh, I'm an artist. Can I show here?" And she was like, "Well, this is my gallery." But eventually she collected some names, and we had some meetings, and people decided that they really wanted to come out of the woodwork. And
that was sort of the beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it. People noticed her studio, went, "Well, we want to show." And then so she was trying to get something organized, and eventually it came together as an art trail when we had only a few artists, and we sort of made a loop out of it on the map. And then now we have 22 artists and 18 studios, which is not really a drivable circle. So it's now just a tour.
Yeah. Her work is, I guess you would describe it as abstract painting.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, very vibrant. There's a lot of motion almost I can feel.
Yeah, Donna's work is wonderful, and she likes to work very large. And she has a beautiful, beautiful gallery that you can't believe is in Gardiner. You know, it looks like it's in Soho. And it's big enough to contain her work, which is pretty big.
Her work is impressive to me just on a computer screen, and now I'm trying to imagine it like the size of like a wall of
4 feet by
one of
6
these rooms.
feet. Yeah, it's wonderful, vibrant stuff. It's great.
Now we've just spotlighted a few of these artists. What's the total roster this year?
Yeah, we have 22 artists altogether, painters and ceramicists, and some. We have a glass sculptor. We have a felt maker and felter, making felt animals and hand puppets.
Yeah.
But it's
the wide variety.
It's quite remarkable. And now, one of the things that you can see on the street, you don't even have to come in, is in Gardiner, New York, and in a couple of places in New Paltz, we have a display up called The Doors, and it's actually hashtag Ghost, G-O-S-T, Doors. And if you can go see some pictures of it on the web at hashtag Ghost Doors.
Okay.
But artists in the group have painted doors, sometimes in their own idiom and sometimes not. I do robots. I don't know why.
I think that's really compelling. The fact that you have artists who are maybe sort of stepping outside of their normal comfort zone to do something in a different medium or a different style.
Yeah,
that's
it's
great.
Different sizes, and the doors are up all over the place. We have more than 40 doors up this year in Gardiner and New Paltz. And they're out in front of the artist studios, and they're in Gardiner, and there's some in the village in New Paltz.
That's a great way to bring people in who are maybe just walking around town, and they're going to see this work, and what's that about?
Right, and and it's really a way to take the art out of the gallery.
Sure.
And also to invite people to interact with art without making any demands on them.
My guest this afternoon, Jonathan Pazer. He is the chairman of the Gardiner Open Studio Tour, coming up this weekend, April 30th and May 1st, Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The last thing that I want to get in, you guys have an event. It is running both days, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But you mentioned to me that sometimes there is kind of a pedestrian traffic jam at the end of the end of the afternoon, and you guys are doing something a little different with like kind of an early bird raffle this year.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've had 50 people in your studio at 2:00 doesn't help anybody. So we want to get people out earlier in the day on the tour.
And you've actually given them a reason to
Right.
do that.
And we have an early bird raffle. And if you come into any studio on the tour between 10:00 and 11 a.m. and sign in, you will be in on a raffle for 3 prizes, 2 $25 gift certificates and 1 $100 gift certificate. And that's those separately for each day. So if you can go 2 days, you can have 2 shots at it. And those gift certificates will be redeemable with any artist on the tour within 10 days of this weekend.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so $100 can buy you something or buy you a piece of something. And we're very happy. And we really want people to come out and have enough time to do the tour justice.
With these kind of events, it's very hard, I find, to go and see every single artist. So you might want to go to the website first and game plan or pick up one of these brochures that I'm holding in my hand right now. People can pick up this brochure, which is great. It gives you a sample of the work. It gives you the map. Folks can go to the Gardiner branch, it looks like, of Ulster Savings Bank, for example, or Cafe Mio in Gardiner, New York, among a few other places where folks can go. These are your sponsors.
Right.
Get this brochure. They can also print it out from the website.
Right, you can download it from the website.
Which makes life a lot easier. The first thing I would tell folks to do, really starting now, is go to ghostartist.org. That's GOST artist.org. And start to kind of make a plan for this weekend.
Yeah, and actually all of the artists are listed on the website on the artists page with links to their websites. So
Exactly.
if you see somebody you're really jazzed about and want to double check, you can go to their website and pretty much check it out.
And you don't. I do want to stress though. A little bit of advanced planning makes sense to me, but you don't need to. There are no reservations necessary.
Yeah, no. It's
we want this to be a casual thing.
It is. It is a casual thing, and it's. We really take delight in doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
we work pretty hard to put this together, and when it comes off, it's wonderful. People have a great time.
And the artists, I mean, sometimes do you feel like you're sort of in your studio for long hours, days at a time, and you're kind of cut off from the audience, right? And this is a chance to reconnect that connection.
It is, and I really like the fact that in my neighborhood, I can throw a stone and hit an artist. I mean, there's so many people on my road.
Yeah.
And this is not. There are a lot of places that don't have artists every third house.
Yep.
It's quite remarkable, and we really should take advantage of this. Of the resource, you out there should take advantage of the resources that you have in Gardiner with so many artists, so many diverse interests and
this is a drum
expertise.
To anyone who has listened regularly to the Afternoon Drive program over these last many years. This is a drum that I am constantly beating. I think that people who are from this area, who've maybe lived here their whole lives, don't realize that it's hard to find another beautiful rural area with mountains and open fields and hiking that also has this amazing concentration of artists and musicians and creative people.
Absolutely. Call your friends from New York and tell them to come up for that weekend.
Yeah.
And you'll show them a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Jonathan Pazer, chairman of the Gardiner Open Studio Tour, I want to thank you for stopping by. Check out the Gardiner Open Studio Tour this Saturday and Sunday, April 30th and May 1st from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Full details, get the map, all the good stuff that you need, ghostartist.org. That's GOSTartists.org. Jonathan, best of luck with the weekend, and hopefully we get to see you down the road.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, and I'm praying for good weather.
Thank you. It's 98.1 KZE.
Take care.